Mhm.
So what do you think about those individuals that transition when they're older?
Those transition, those
When they're
individuals.
older, when they're older.
Okay. Oh, God. Girl, you put me in the hot seat, honey. Okay. So, okay. So, no, I,
Somebody like that person that used to be around all the time
I
that passed
know.
away
Yeah.
recently.
No, I know what you mean. Okay. So,
I don't want to say name, but
right. So, this is what I want to say. I believe that everyone transitions in their own, at their own pace. Okay. So these people that waited until later in life to do it, I just think they were not ready at when they were younger, and a
hmm
lot of things got mixed into it. Like many of them married, they had families, they had vibrant careers, and they were not willing to risk all of that at the time. um, Many of them, the older ones, they did it near retirement or right after retirement. So they had a nice nest egg and all of that. And so they could do their surgeries and all of that. Not all of them, but many of them did. For me, I could have never done it. I transitioned very young, you know, and it was just, I think some people, they can't, I couldn't go through life, not living my authentic self. And but that's me. I had to do it. Them, they were able to wait and for whatever reasons. Um I the one thing that I think about though when someone does it so late is I think about like that person's family. Like if they married and they had children, and if they have grandkids, the dynamics of that. See me, I did it from young. I like it was like branded on me when I was like 4, and then I grew up, and then I came out, and I did it from young. So it was like, here you see me. This is what you get. This is what you get. Whereas I don't feel like I put on like a fake identity per se. And so I wonder about those families. Like all of a sudden, your dad is like 65, and then this is a man that you know all your life, and he's your father, and now you have kids, and he's the grandfather, and he's now telling you that he's a woman.
but
So
let me ask you this question. Well, there are two questions. The first one I just very quickly answer it because from there I'm gonna come to the next one. Are you attracted to men or women?
okay, so
Are you attracted to men or women?
yeah, for me, sexually, I like men. So I believe that I'm a heterosexual woman.
Okay, fine. You answered the question. Thank you. So, because this is what I think is part of that dynamic,
I know.
because
They're lesbians.
most of these individuals they were always attracted to women, so maybe that kind of became kind of interfere with their recognition. You think?
Yeah.
Like when you're attracted to men, so the first thing is like, okay, so you're gonna go to a gay bar, things like that. Immediately you get hit in the face, like, okay, you're not a gay boy.
Right.
But when you're attracted to women, maybe you don't have that sharp contrast. That could be one of the factors that kind of don't let you recognize them when you were younger. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I always say that the ones that got married and had children, most of them were lesbians in men's bodies until they transitioned. Like, because people get it confused. Sexual identity and sexuality are two different things. You can be a trans woman that's attracted to men and heterosexual. You can be a trans woman that's attracted to women, so you're a lesbian. You could be a trans woman that like other trans women. I've met those type, And now we have a lot of trans dating where trans women and trans men are dating, and so it's a lot, you know, a lot of different variations.
So you do
But
think that is a factor into those individuals that transition later in life
I
because
do, I do, I do. The problem is for the wife, it was unfair for her because now here it is, um, her husband all this time that she now is hearing from her husband, I'm a woman, and she's probably going to be like, I didn't sign up for this. I married a man because I'm a heterosexual woman who like men. I don't like. I'm not attracted to women. So that's a dilemma. But you know, hey,
yeah,
they
but that's not that doesn't happen all the time.
no,
It's
not all
actually,
the
you know,
time.
it doesn't happen all the time. 'Cause there's some women that they, especially if they're in advanced age, they just decide there's a couple that I used to know, and I'm sure you still know, um, that they started that way. You know, the trans person transitioned in the middle of the relationship, and the wife decided to stay in because she's like, hey, you know, like, the package doesn't matter, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, yeah, there are situations like that. But then I have a friend of mine who it's the opposite. Her husband now is transitioning to a woman, and she was willing to support and try and stay in it. But now the husband, who's now a woman, is like, you know, it's like when you transition, you're like a teenage girl and you're ready to go out and sow your oats. So she's like now into men and all kind of stuff. So it's
Oh,
not.
she's into men now?
She's into men now, and so they're gonna divorce. They're getting a divorce, but
Well, I mean, you know, yeah, so. But why do you think that,
it's a lot going on, honey, in
I
this
know,
world.
but why do you think the transsexual community that transition earlier at times have an issue with this older population? Because that kind of tied us up with what we were talking before about who's real trans and who's not.
Okay, so this is the thing. I think for the girls that transitioned early, it was a rough road because if you transitioned in your late teens or in your 20s, you know, back, we're talking back when I did it, it affected you on so many different levels. If you even had a career going, it was going to impact you. There were a lot of things. People weren't as accepting. You didn't have the financial resources. I always say a lot of us girls, we rubbed two nickels together to live our truth. And when these older ones transition, I think what it is you look at them and they're like, oh, they got their nice retirement pension and their social security and you know their beautiful homes and everything, and you know they're like, oh, we're trans, but it's almost like they kind of walk around like this. Not all of them, but like you get that kind of energy, and it's like, honey, we were the girls fucking, excuse my language, in fighting the fight, blood, sweat, and tears. So your ass now could transition. Oh my God, I'm gonna get in trouble. But but but
But you know,
but
you know,
but 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 what I'm saying is, you know, that's the reality of it. It's like that whole thing because a lot of those older ones, they because they're more stable and settled, it's not as difficult, I think, with the transition. Now, I'm not saying it's not difficult when it comes to like telling your family and your friends and coming out. That's probably just as
yeah,
hard.
financially they're better prepared for it, or they can manage it better
Yeah,
than
yeah.
other ways. But I don't know. I mean, not that I know that many, but most of the ones that I know, with the exception of one person that I don't know her, or you know her, um, is not in that position.
Oh, well,
I
Yeah,
mean, most of the ones that I know, either kind of comfortable, some of them are struggling.
yeah. I mean,
I
some of
mean,
them are.
it's like I mean, yeah, some of them do, some of them do.
Well, it's
But
a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag, but I'm just saying. I think that that's one of the reasons. Like it. It's almost like, and I'm not saying I feel this way, but I think what it is, yeah, you went on and you played the role and lived your life, and but I came out and was real about myself from the beginning, or from like my
yeah,
late
but that's
20s.
what I'm asking. Why that? Why bringing that up? I mean,
I
that
just
choices. People make
Yeah,
choices. I mean,
people
that's
make
a choice.
choices.
I mean, let's just assume, let's just for a sake of conversation, that you feel this way.
Hmm.
So you made a choice. You could have just finished your career or finish your graduation or your degrees or what have you, and wait till you were more established and then transition.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that it just to me it just seems like it creates more division
Yeah,
and
and I
more
agree
anger
with you.
towards other individuals that there are more factors involved, like the one we discussed a little bit earlier. I mean, yeah, if you're attracted to men, because I don't think that I ever seen, well, yeah, now I have, but not, I mean, it's different between, I'm talking about older people. I'm
Hmm.
not talking about, but I don't think that I have seen any older transsexual woman or woman with transsexual experience that is consider herself a lesbian that transitioned early on. I
Yeah.
don't think I know any of those. And now younger girls, yes, but older, I don't think so. Because I think it kind of makes it a little bit, and I think that also going back to what we talked about, the physical aspect of it. Um, some people they have to transition because of their body, how they felt. And it wasn't about how they look. It wasn't about being a Barbie doll or being, a model or anything like that. It was about then having a female body
Yeah.
versus a male body.
The gender
Right.
dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, but then there are other individuals that when they concentrate in this kind of body situation or this image situation, that creates a lot of tension, a lot of unnecessary tension. Because I mean, to me, it's like, okay, so you did it when you were ready to do it,
Yeah.
where it was.
And I'm the same way. I don't have a problem with
Oh
the
yeah,
old.
yeah. I was just using you as an example of a sales
Yeah.
conversation. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that you do.
But I think that some of the stuff I brought up, I think that's the reason some of the younger generation has issues with the ones that wait until they're older. But no, I mean, I think it's case by case.
Hmm.
Another thing I've noticed in the community is, the thing with race. You notice, like, a lot of times, not all the time, but like the segregation as far as race wise within the trans community, like the Latinos, what with the blacks, the whites, not all the time, but I'm just saying you do see that dynamic too. And I think I've met a few of the white older women, not all that I met, but there's been a few that kind of, it's almost like they look down on me. I don't know if it's because I'm a person of color or if I look the way I look.
I
Um,
mean, racial situations you're gonna find it in any way, any
yeah,
community. I think that part of the problem, especially for the younger girls, meaning the girls that kind of transition when they were younger too, and even today, because this is another concept that I've been looking at. It's like every time that we talk about transsexualism or transitioning or anything in this aspect, the people always talk about the negative aspect, the struggle, the bullying, the this, the that. And there's a lot of examples there of success stories that have not been, presented. And I think that they need to be presented. People need to understand that, okay, fine, you transitioned when you were younger, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't do the things that this other person who didn't transition did to become successful
Yeah,
and, and have a better life.
that's true. That's true.
Because I mean,
That- It,
I mean,
it
we
doesn't
know one
necessarily.
we know one woman who transitioned many, when she was very young, who is a professional,
Mhm. Yeah.
and she's doing very well financially. That's, one that I know we know, but there are many women like that. But the thing is, like, those stories are not being told. Those are not role models that are being presented to a woman, when they're starting and say, okay, you know what, this is what you could do.
Yeah, and and that's a great point you bring up, and I think that those stories need to be featured more.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, so that young trans people coming out will say, "Okay, wait a minute. If they can do it, I can do it. I can be successful just because I'm coming out as trans young. That doesn't mean that I can't be successful."
Yes, you
So
can.
true. So true.
Yes, you can. But that's what happens, that, people don't, they try to push the negative narrative. In my opinion, some of these advocates, they do that because it's convenient for them, but they don't try to show or shine any light or any role models that are there. So other people could look and say, oh, so then I could do it too.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's so true. Oh my God! But when it's all said and done, I always say, like the community, we're all in the same boat, just different compartments. And I do believe that there has to be more of a unification, because the problem is, you know, divide and conquer is real, and there is power in unity. So my thing is like, can't we all get along? Quoting the great Rodney King, can't we all get along? And hopefully we can continue to move forward towards equality and equity for all of us.
yeah, but that kind of brings me again to back to the original questions or questions also, but another concept, because it seems like you're very involved in the LGBT community. So, and I'm trying to understand, why do you feel like you're part of that community when you identify as a heterosexual woman who happen to have a trans experience, but still?
Yeah. Well, for me, all of my activism has been within, well, I wouldn't say all of it. The majority of my activism has been for the trans community within the LGBTQ community. It's been within that community, a lot of my activism. So I do feel that I'm a part of the community. And but that doesn't mean that I don't that doesn't negate my transgender womanhood. I'm not negating that, but I do feel that I'm a part of the LGBTQ community. And um, I, okay, I'm going to tell you, like, all my life, I've been in a gender war. All my life. I never fit the bill of what society said a man should be. I just never could do it. From a little boy, I was feminine, and growing up all the way to now, it's like this gender thing of not fitting the bill. And for me, those days of like trying to pass, quote unquote, are over for me. I don't even entertain that idea anymore. I'm just Raji. And you know, I'm Raji and I'm presenting as a woman. I'm transgender. I'm many things, but I can't negate all of what I am and all of what I've been through. I have a history, just like we all do. And I have a history of when I lived in the world where people identified me as male. I can't ever erase that. And actually, I think that that's what makes us trans women special, because we have that time and that experience that cisgendered women don't have. And so that's why, like, many times I think we can see it from like different perspectives, and like kind of we trans people are like sharp. A lot of us are. And like I'm very intuitive and I pick up on stuff. You know, someone says something and I'm like, I pick up on it and I'm like reading it. And so all of that is because of what I've been through and my history. So I I just can't walk around saying I'm a cisgendered woman when I'm not. I can't do it. And even if I could, I don't think I can do it because I don't think I'm necessarily
But
passable.
why do you have to put a title on your womanhood?
You know, I don't put the title on it. Society puts the title on it, and so as a way of like taking the power back, I then I then like hold the flag up and proclaim it, because when I go out in society, I don't walk around with a sign saying transgender woman or transsexual, but society, a lot of society. I mean, every once in a while, I guess I pass, but for the most part, when people see me, they know that I'm a trans woman, and so you know, as a way of taking the power back, I wear it proud. Then you know, if I could pass, like, there's a few people, I won't name them, in this community. You know, one of them. You know, a few of them that are quite passable. They don't even need to say anything trans, but you know, they're still trans activists and still working in the community. But I don't think I'm in their lane. I think when I go out, you don't see a man in a dress. I know I don't look like that, but I just think that many people perceive me as a transgender woman or a transsexual. That's what the label they've given me and put on me.
Okay, I can take
Yeah.
that.
Now you, on the other hand, you are a cisgendered woman, but that's a whole nother
Yes,
story.
that's absolutely right. Well, my darling, I think it's that time to say goodbye.
It was a pleasure, girl. We get into some juicy conversations.
What did I try to be serious with you, but sometimes I can't. I have to laugh.
And I'm going to tell you, if I need to go get some bodyguards, I'm going to blame it on you.
You could go to West Palm Beach and get your husband to get you some.
Right. Yes, yes.
Well, Raji, my darling, thank you so much. It was nice to have you here.
Yeah, thanks.
Another conversation with you. It was wonderful to have you.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. It was great being on. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, honey.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Love, peace, and blessings, everyone.